Hello, and welcome back to the JRB podcast with myself, Ryan Levine, joined here by Jeff Jones and Bowden Temnick.
Hello.
Hello.
And today, per Jeff's request, I guess, so any and all backlash fall to him exclusively.
I'm
um,
just la
we will
Oh my
be
god.
discussing. We're going to be discussing AGOV that just came out, probably the YCS a little bit, and then our main topic is going to be I guess the cost of playing Yu-Gi-Oh, the cost of doing business, the cost of a deck, the cost of product, and how that has fluctuated recently, and people's opinions on that, which there are a lot of them. But first, before we get into that, let's do our quick like indie happened. Jeff and I went. I did horrible. I don't think I don't. It was the first event of a new set. Agov was very highly represented, as I think we kind of all expected based on some of our
Yes.
previous talk, which is like it was one of those things where I look at all the Agov cards being played, and my only thought is this is expected. Every single card in this room cannot defeat one Arise Heart, and if that card was not banned, we'd be, you know what I mean? Like we'd be in a different. Obviously, like they had to ban that card, and um, I've mentioned this previously in other videos or stuff, but one thing that I've always thought about cards like Arise Heart, they remind me of stuff like Colossus and Masterpiece, where they come out and they warp the game, and that's fine because every so often you need really big game warping cards to shake up the cards that you're allowed to play. Because generally, those
Mhm.
types of cards make really popular cards not good, and then everyone has to kind of rethink how they deck build. So like for 7 months, Forbidden Droplet was literally unplayable because Arise Heart was in everyone's deck, right? And not literally unplayable, but
Mhm.
very you
It's lit no, it was
yeah,
unplayable. I
you could
wouldn't put it
side it
unplayable.
against non-Kashtira decks, and that's it.
Yes.
Like in the main deck, it was unplayable, right? So stuff like that. And now, Arise Heart, he did his damage, and we all played with him, and we all tolerated his existence for however many months, and now he's gone, and now we're free from the tyranny again, and now we've kind of now it's opened up. Unfortunately, I think maybe SP is the new card, maybe like that, in that it makes a bunch of these targeting type of effects much weaker. But we'll see how that really shakes up. SP is definitely not as warping as cards like Colossus and Arise Heart and Masterpiece and those types of monsters. But I do think we'll see a lot of it, and I think it will definitely change how everybody deck builds for quite a while. But we'll see the uh, the greater impact, I guess, as the formats go on. But I don't know if either of you have any like specific things from Indie or from Agov that were unexpected or anything like that, or if everything kind of just played out pretty much how you thought it would.
Uh, nope.
Okay.
I
Definitely nothing
think
about indie.
I think the Horus cards not having any reasonable representation. I obviously we tested a little bit pre-indie, and just seeing how awkward they were. I was surprised that no one else really found anything. I think a Horus deck made top 30 too.
Yeah,
So
it was called Horus Bistral, and I believe he had two feature matches in Swiss. I didn't
uh,
catch
Yeah.
all of them, but if
I
anyone
think
is
maybe
interested,
one.
they're up
I don't
there.
know.
Huh?
Maybe it was one. I don't
Oh,
remember. There
okay.
was one on the bubble for
Well,
sure.
yeah, he definitely
Yeah.
had a feature match. So if you want to see how that deck worked, there's definitely a feature match of it winning. So you can look at that. But yeah, I agree. I remember like Asal and I had a lot of fun, like just kind of throwing Horus cards into different decks and just seeing what stuck. And the answer that we found was almost nothing. Like we made some really funny decks that were just like 6 different engines of like cards that were okay with being discarded, and then Horus and Diabellstar, and then like didn't really end on anything, right? Like even in the best case scenario where it was like, obviously because I like Eldritch, like one of the first ones I made was like, okay, but hear me out, Eldritch,
I hate.
and then we draw a hand and it's like Cursed Outland, Diabellstar, a Horus card, and Eldritch Trap, and I'm like, all right, if this hand doesn't do anything, I don't know what will. And then spoiler alert, the hand did not do anything. It ended on like a trap. It ended on like a conch and like a rank 8. And that was it. And we're like, maybe maybe this ain't it. But yeah, the Horus cards are obviously very generic, and they are getting more support in Phantom Nightmare. We have 2 confirmed cards. One not so great. One, the Field Spell, in my opinion, is actually pretty good. So maybe
Yeah.
when the Field Spell comes out, we'll see more Horus. But I'm not
Like, I
really.
think there are good cards, I just feel like the decks they normally are good in, it's very hard to fit them into because it doesn't make the deck do anything better than it already does.
Yeah, and it kind of introduces like 3 cards you want to draw that are really susceptible to Ash, and like 2 or 3 bricks that you don't want to draw. And like
Yeah,
that's
the
and
first
that's like a
time I am
weird.
said he got Ash, I was like, "Holy shit, I cannot play this deck."
Yeah, for sure.
But, yeah.
All right, so that was a really quick indie recap, just enough to get it into title of the video, obviously.
Yes.
Just so we can put AGOV in the title of the video. Is the cost of, I think this is going to be our main topic. We're talking about the cost of cards and the cost of product, which has fluctuated a lot recently. Which the reason we say fluctuated a lot recently is over the last, I'm going to say, even Hypernova wasn't great. I'm going to say
Mhm.
Dabble, the product was expensive and a lot of the cards were expensive, but no set since Darkwing Blast has the product really retained its value outside of its release window. Even when Kashtira was the more or less undisputed best deck, all of those cards dropped in price so quickly that Photon Hypernova didn't even retain value. And this is something that a lot of people on Twitter and social media have talked about. I think the person who's probably been the most outspoken about this has definitely been John Moore. He's had a bunch of tweets about like a screenshot of a sealed product of like a sealed box of Dune, and the box of Dune is what, like $45 something.
Mhm.
And he,
Yeah.
and then he goes like, "This is insane that this product is so low," or like a picture of the tins, and that's correct. Like he's correct. Like it is insane that these products, have been falling so much, and and that's like one of his big things is the market watch, and he really pays attention to the prices of these things. So he's kind of just been trying to bring it more attention, and you see people kind of push back and be like, "It's good product is low," and he'll be like, "Well, no, like if product is too low, it means there's why are we like if the game doesn't have cash pricing and the pricing of the game even at the local level is near exclusively product and the product is worth nothing, what is the incentive to what is the incentive to play?" And I understand like if the game is fun then you want to play anyway, but let's take fun out of the equation for a
There
brief moment.
there's multiple layers
Yeah.
to that.
Of
It
course.
I think a big theme of today's episode is things are not as black and white as people want to make them
Hmm.
seem. Things are mostly in the gray
Yeah.
area, and that's gonna be a big overarching theme of this
And
episode.
we all have a
And
lot of opinions on these different things. Which, Jeff, I know you're the one that really want to talk about this, so I think you should start the whole journey of like you made a tweet
yeah,
about this actually, and it has been given some backlash. And I will say, first of all, whatever we say here, we are more or less saying what we mean, and we know a lot of people will misconstrue the things we say into things we didn't say, and will think we mean things that we didn't say. So please, if there's something you need clarification on, ask for clarification. Do not assume we hate everyone that's not doesn't have our opinion, because we don't say 100% maybe what you agree with, and we
yeah,
know what we're going to say is going to get twisted, and people are going to come out of this and go, "I can't believe Ryan and Jeff and Bowden hate poor people." It's like, no, that's not what, like
yeah.
there's that's not what's happening.
I don't
No,
know.
yeah, I wanna go into this saying there's a kind of like saying lately that I really value, and it's assume good intentions. Assume that what's happening is has no ill intention, and that if you assume that, things will usually, unless you have like really hard reasoning why you would assume good intentions are not happening. Just start off thinking most people's intentions are good. Um,
Also, we
and so
we
I'm gonna
all love
start.
Yu-Gi-Oh. Like we've been playing this game for you two longer than me, but most of our lives, and we just want to see it do well. None of this comes from a place of malice towards Yu-Gi-Oh or the player base or anything. In fact, this all comes from a place of deep concern and love. So, with
So I'm gonna
that.
start out with just reading the original tweet
Mhm.
um to get some context. So the obviously the
This
context
is yours or John
originally
Moore's
is
tweet?
this is not John Morris. This is someone who's actually from Michigan,
Okay.
who I know and is a very nice person,
Okay.
and we have a lot of similar ideology. We think a lot of things, the
Okay.
similar things.
Sure, sure.
However, I'm joking. Hold on. Uh, However, his original tweet is in regarding the price of Yu-Gi-Oh right now with the new sets.
Mhm.
Um, if you run defense for the price of this game, then I'm questioning a lot of your personal beliefs outside of just Yu-Gi-Oh. And so I responded with I'll run defense. And this was my first mistake because what I did was not even running a defense and I in my head misinterpreted this original tweet. Um And I said, no one said hobbies and luxury items should be cheap. I don't know where people keep getting this notion from. People who think otherwise are living in a fantasy world. Some hobbies are expensive, some are not. It's a good thing they're exactly that. Hobbies are not required to live. So when he said, if you run defense for the price of this game, in my head, I'm thinking running defense in the essence of calling Yu-Gi-Oh expensive, not the specific pricing of Yu-Gi-Oh. And what I did wasn't even defending it. It was more playing devil's advocate. I didn't say it was good or it was bad. Um, a lot of people will read all run defense, and I shouldn't have even said that because, like I said, that isn't even what I ended up doing.
Yeah.
And I think some comments even said that you didn't even run defense. You just
You
said
just
something
announced
that's
it. Yeah.
yeah. And this is just something I hold to be true,
Mhm.
and a lot of people got very upset thinking that this just means fuck poor people. And that is nowhere anyone who knows me knows that is not my mentality at all. I believe in free affordable healthcare, affordable housing, I believe in a living wage. All of those things set aside, that is not what this is. At the end of the day, like, like I said, some hobbies are expensive, some are not. They are not required to live. However, that set aside, I do not think that in order to play the best deck in Yu-Gi-Oh, you should have to spend thousands of dollars. And I think that Konami can get better at finding a balance between sets that are worth nothing, like what we've seen recently, and then having sets come out and making decks thousands of dollars. And I think for the most part, we all three agree with that, right?
Yeah, I actually before I lose this thought, I actually want to bring that I want to hone in on that specifically. So, one thing I think is super crazy is that think about just Rescue Ace currently is probably the best performing deck. It had the most spots at India, it got a lot of support in AGOV. If you were playing a Rescue Ace deck and you got in early, right? And you had all the cards
Mhm.
when they first came out and they were worth very little because it was not really a respected deck. Then
Hmm.
Dune comes out. What do you need from Dune? You need two commons. You literally got rewarded for buying your Rescue Ace cards early, and they gave you two commons to make your deck like a solid deck, like a tier one deck. Like it got Max got second at
Max
Cancun with
got
it.
second with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Max got
Mhm.
second at Cancun with it. And then, oh, okay. So we threw you some bones, we threw you some commons, and it cost you literally a quarter to upgrade your deck. Agov, that'll be $400, please. You
Mhm.
know, like, and yeah, I agree. It is crazy, kind of when you see that dichotomy where it's just like you're literally just playing your deck and you just want the cards, and then one set you will pay literally nothing for two commons, and then the next set you need like seven secret rares. Not even for a
Hmm.
new deck. Like when it's a new deck like Kashtira, and it's like, well, like Fenrir was always expensive, but okay, now if you want to play Kashtira, you need like a bunch more secret rares. Like that's one thing. It's like you're basically buying an entire deck for something like a Rescue Ace. where you're gradually building up on it, and then it's essentially free. Like it's literally like at my locals, I said, "Hey, can I have a preventer?" And people at my locals just who were opening packs were like, "Here," you know. And then at AGOV, it's like, "Oh, these cards are all secret rares. Like this is very very expensive." I agree that like that, in my opinion, is the biggest issue. Is that like we haven't had like mid to like okay sets in a while. Sets have either been this set is crazy. The boxes are reselling for over retail. There's secret rares for $120. Like this is the best set of the year. And then every other set in the year is just they are reselling for half of MSRP. Every card is $20. Like this is awful. And yeah, there's probably something that can be done to address like the but that's like a power level
Mhm.
of the set issue usually, not even like a product configuration issue, which I'm sure we'll get into both. But
Yeah.
um,
S
one,
so
yeah,
going back to my tweet real quick,
Mhm.
another thing I want to, address is where I say, "No one said hobbies and luxury items should be cheap," and a lot of people look at this and say, "I can't believe he's calling Yu-Gi-Oh! A luxury item. There's cardboard, it's paper, they aren't luxury items," and I think people look at that term and think luxury means, like, fine oil paintings and stuff like that, and that's not what that means at
yeah,
all.
yeah,
Owning Yu-Gi-Oh cards is a luxury. Owning a gaming computer and video games is a luxury. Owning pop figures is a luxury. I recently bought a brand new couch. That is a luxury. I got one that was better than the other ones. I could have gotten a simple couch, but I wanted a better one. That is a luxury. All of these things are a luxury, and that is like a big thing I think people don't really understand. They're seeing it's cardboard, it's not luxury. No, it really like it is. Like when you play a sport for a hobby, you have to buy equipment. Sometimes you need to update all your equipment over time. The same is for Yu-Gi-Oh! Except sometimes you can also sell your stuff when you don't want it anymore. It's
Hmm.
all part of being a hobby and being a luxury. And again, people think that this is like me saying poor people shouldn't have hobbies. No, that like of course you can have hobbies. I don't know why people are saying that. This is just part of life in general. Sometimes you can't do the things you want because you are priced out of it. Like sometimes you can't buy tons of people couldn't buy a PlayStation 5. But people are always going to come back to this is cardboard. It shouldn't be that expensive. And to that notion, how do you feel about that? Because that's so like when I try to like make this point, the ongoing argument or like rebuttal is it's just cardboard. It shouldn't be that expensive. And so
I,
how do you try to have that
I would
conversation?
like to hear Boden's thoughts on this before I say
it's
anything.
crazy. It's crazy to think, like people are saying that because when I was growing up, I couldn't fathom spending a lot of money on like certain cards, and I remember like I'm sure you remember this, Jeff. Like when Darkom came out, we went from like a relatively cheap format where maybe the most expensive card, but I guess you had like Ill Blood in like '07. That was the extent of like an expensive card, or like 3 copies of Riser in a deck, right? But there were like reasonable budget alternatives, and then we went straight into like the modern era, like quote unquote modern era. Yes, it was 15 years ago, but you had Phantom Darkness come out. Darkom was infinite, right? And you either played Darkon for that pocket of events, ignoring John, who also had a pretty banger tweet of like, hey, everyone's deck was $6,000 and I played Six Samurai and I won the first Phantom Darkness YCS. But like you just could only play Darkon, right? And then I remember like myself as a 15-year-old was like, okay, well, I can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Like I'll play on at the time the simulator was YVD because I still wanted my Yu-Gi-Oh! Fix, but I would just play like anti-meta alternative because like the cards were too expensive. And then what did I do? I was like, oh well, like Gladiator Beasts were coming out with Geysaras, and like GB already had a decent matchup because they just loaded it with a bunch of floodgates to beat the tier 0 deck. And then Geysaras came out and GB became the best deck. But like I already bought all the GB cards, so when everyone was complaining about Heraclinos being 100, like I just had Heraclinos already. So what I'm trying to say is, without me rambling too much, just don't play this pocket of the format if the cards are too expensive. Look to the future. Maybe do what Ryan said of like the speculative buys. Like it doesn't even have to be for monetary gain. You're just doing it to get in early to get an archetype that could be good. And it's completely reasonable that you like it already, and maybe it gets good cards later on. Like I know people at locals who do that as well. Like the Testina stuff, like they'll just get a full core because like those are relatively inexpensive, and all it takes is like one or two broken cards to come out in the future that still might also be relatively cheap compared to the rest of the format. And now you just have a meta playable deck. Like it's just very confusing to me, like that people don't want to adapt, and it feels like they have to be like on each and every time, like in this game's entirety. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
you can take extended breaks, and like I think during that break, if you maybe pick and choose, like maybe there's an archetype that you like Konami might just print a card that makes it busted. Like we saw it with Unchained as well. Like all the Unchained cards were virtually worthless, and then Yama came out, the deck became playable, and for like a solid month, like Unchained Abomination, I think is still like $20 US. It's like a pretty big spike,
Or Soul of
and it was
Rage,
probably like
maybe. Yeah,
40 for
there's
like a
definitely
weekend
one.
or two. Yeah, like
Yeah,
just
I
take a
think
break. I I don't know.
no. So I agree with you. I think I think our audience at the time of recording, our audience
Mm,
currently is more than likely more competitive players.
Mhm.
So what I'm about to say, this is gonna sound really weird. I don't know if what I'm about to say is applicable to literally everyone or applicable to literally no one. I know that sounds weird, but I'll elaborate. So, a bunch of the people that I see complaining about cards being worthless or cards being expensive or whatever, it's like, and this is an argument that I also hear a lot that I'm gonna hopefully elaborate on to make it more like concise. Is that if you're concerned that you can't afford X certain deck, like, man, I want SP Little Knight, but it's $100. Okay, what do you need SP Little Knight for? Like, you need it for a tournament? Okay, so you need it for locals? Okay, you don't. Like, you don't need this $100 card to participate in your locals. Like, you just don't.
Yeah.
mhm.
Like, you know, like
So
we've all
while
played
you're on
our
that
locals
topic, I
with
just want to.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
going to
go
say
for it.
while you're talking about that, I went to locals last night. I played 5 rounds of Yu-Gi-Oh. I didn't have to summon Little Knight once. It was in my deck, but I didn't have to summon it. And
Mhm.
I so like if you're going to a locals, like you don't again. That's just like
You are playing for fun.
it's
You're playing just
yeah.
people, presumably, you know, like in your like skill range. And like, I understand it sometimes is frustrating to lose the cards that you don't own or whatever, but that will be applicable a lot. You know, like even at the
I
highest
mean,
level,
it's
when
frustrating to lose in general, right?
oh,
Like for the
yes,
most
it's
part, I
frustrating to
feel
lose in
like a lot of
general.
the time
Yeah,
you shouldn't be happy when you're losing.
yeah, and yeah, yes, and it makes you feel better maybe to like blame a loss on something like, oh, I lost because I think the ones I saw a lot were, man, I lost because I couldn't afford Evenly, or I lost because I couldn't afford Lightning Storm, and I was looking at the Evenlys and Lightning Storms in my binder that had not been in my deck in 7 months, and I would just go like, these cards are terrible
Uh-huh.
right now. Like, you're not losing at your locals because your opponent has evenly matched. Like, in fact, evenly matched at the time that people were complaining about it was not even a good card. Do you remember when Jesse tweeted evenly matched sucks and it got like everybody wanted his head on
Yes.
a spike?
Yes,
And it was
absolutely.
like,
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
so funny to me. But anyway, so before I get too sidetracked, if you're playing at a local level, you can play whatever you want because you should be playing for enjoyment. You're playing for very low stakes. I understand, and probably to improve and whatever. Like, yes, I've played my very competitive decks at locals to test them. I've played Crystal Beasts, literally just 3 Crystal Beast structure decks at a locals, just to have fun. Like, I understand, I have played this game at every level and I've played it for various things of enjoyment. And, you don't need these $100 cards to participate in your locals. You just don't need them. Two, the other time, okay, what do you need Little Knight for? Well, I actually need Little Knight because I'm going to compete at a YCS and my deck has to be optimal. Fair. If you want to play a YCS, I agree. You do need Little Knight. Unless you're playing branded, you do need a Little Knight. That card should be in your deck. I agree with you that you need it. However, we are now operating under the assumption you're going to an event. Going to
Yep.
events is expensive. And
That is
and
what we like to call a luxury.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I was just gonna say, I was saying
You
that's
know,
what we call being able to travel to an event,
is a
which is
crazy
basically
luxury.
a vacation.
There,
Oh yeah.
It is a luxury that you're paying for.
I'm gonna
It is a
say
luxury to travel, a luxury to stay in a hotel, and a luxury
yes.
to eat out for 2 or 3 days while you're
It is
gone.
so
All
expensive.
of these things, it is expensive. It is a luxury. So if you're already paying for all of that, I don't know what to tell you,
That's what
man.
I'm yeah, is and if you cannot afford to spend, let's just say, just random number I'm throwing out. If your, airfare both ways is $200 or $300, which is a reasonable price that like it could be. Like it might cost you $250 to take a flight to a place and back. Your hotel over 3 or 4. Now it's even more because now you have to be there on Friday. So generally you're gonna need a hotel Thursday night, honestly. Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. That's whatever. Like your trip with all of your with your flight, hotel, and meals, I probably going to be about $500, maybe a little bit less depending on your airfare. But like a minimum several $100s, right? If you can't afford to take that several $100 trip and buy a new deck, just just stay home one event and
You
buy
should
the
not be
deck
going, yeah.
and then buy
Yeah.
the deck. Like just go, okay, instead of spending $300 on this trip, I will not go on this trip. I will buy the cards I want to play Yu-Gi-Oh, and I will go to the next one with these cards. And I understand that's not an ideal solution, but that's
I mean, there are
reality, I
plenty of
guess.
people
Yeah.
at my local who can't afford either to, like, to take the time off work and or a combination of just going to these events, and I don't think that they are bitter about it. It is just their life and how it is. But they still, and like I said, like you said, they take the money and they just build the deck they want and they go to locals and play it. They don't go to the big events because they don't have the time or like the resources to do it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's really easy for those like for you guys to say those things like not from even like a perspective of like oh like you guys are like professional duelists haha it's like it's really easy to just be like you should
Hmm.
just budget better right like I think that's the
Yeah,
simple
and I
thing and
feel
I
not
think
like
like
that's
I
an
not
feel
in a
like that.
bad
oversimplification
way
of this,
though.
though. I think just saying
No, no,
you
no, no,
should
no, but
budget better is an
that's
oversimplification
what I
of
mean though. So
this.
like, no, no, so like, I agree because like, if you think
Again, it
about
gets
it,
into the in the very beginning. I said people are going to think it's just very black and white, and it's not. It's a huge gray area.
Yeah.
oh no, for sure. But that's what I mean. Like, I think it is so simple to be a like it. Okay, so it looks simple. It is not simple, and I know like a lot of people are probably like they probably have a lot of external factors, right? There's uh geographical, there's like economic, there's just a bunch of other factors, right? So everyone's opinion is going to be different based on
Hmm.
like whether or not $100 Yu-Gi-Oh card is too expensive or like is this gatekeeping someone from the game, right? And you know what? Let's look at it from a perspective of how we deal with other like things in life that are relatively expensive, right? What is a nice common one? Oh, you don't want to spend the $30 to see a movie? What's an easy way to
I
watch
was
the
gonna,
movie?
yeah.
Piracy. What do we do instead of buying Yu-Gi-Oh cards? We go on
Or Master
dueling.com
Duel.
and we
Yeah,
play with
it's
the cards. Yes.
yeah, I know.
Yes, Master Duel. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Do you know if you play Monster Duel and you try and have like if you free to play it and you try and have more than one deck, it is borderline
And
impossible.
yeah.
It's crazy, right? Like all the modern like decks just have so many URs. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But the benefit, and I don't condone this in the slightest, is actually against terms of service, I think, to multi-account. But if you make a fresh Master Duel account, you have enough gems to make whatever deck
Oh
you
yeah,
want,
because you get all
including
the
some
things.
staples.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So
But
I
don't
have
just make
friends
okay,
who are
I'm gonna
only
say
making
just
accounts
disclaimer.
that
Yes, I
yeah,
do believe that might be against terms of service, which
it is.
I will say
Don't do
if you're just playing rated and whatever, it's unlikely anything will happen. But if you
it.
want to qualify for Worlds, if you want to play in these bigger tournaments, do not do that. I'll
Oh no,
just
like
say
I
do not
I
do
w-
that.
I wouldn't have known. I had friends who were like, "Oh, I want to do this Duelist Cup thing." Like, Master Duel World sounds crazy, and like they've made their first account, and I've watched how many gems they've gotten just by like literally signing up, and it's
Uh-huh.
insane.
Well, yeah, I mean,
It's
we
like,
all
wow,
got that
you
for
can,
signing up at one point, but yeah, I don't want to dwell on
yeah.
this for much longer. I just,
Yes, yes.
but,
Yeah.
But
but yeah,
so like no, it's just I think people are so like you can enjoy the experience of Yu-Gi-Oh in other ways without feeling compelled to not compelled. It's like compelled to earn the $100 card, or like you require this $100 card, and it being $100 based on the secondary market is just like a slight or an attack on you, and Konami should print it as a common. Like, is that just a general consensus? Because like obviously I think it is like it's kind of silly to think like, oh, a trading
So
card is $100, but it's
that's
like then what?
so while we've been talking about this, I've gotten at least 5 more comments of saying that only rich people are allowed to play and have fun. The poor must play with dirt and worms when they aren't slaving away.
no, you just can't play with
And
SP Little Knight. Like that's fine. Like I don't currently own an SP
uh,
Little Knight. If I wanted to play locals, I
and
would just play locals without it. I would not preach what I do
and
not practice. All right.
mhm. And here's another one where, I mean, I talk about, like, owning cards is a luxury, owning a computer or video games is a luxury, and this person says the difference is one is a computer and one is literally a piece of cardboard, and that's always going to
That's
be, I think,
one is
the
a
rebuttal or the
disc
defense.
that costs 5 cents to produce. Like, well, they're not even
One
discs
is
anymore. Now
a
it's just data.
depreciating asset.
Yeah.
One is
Yeah.
something that has potential tangible value for the foreseeable future. I don't like, it can go both ways.
Yeah.
It really
Mm,
like I understand why people it's like, yes, a computer logically is like that's a purchase that is gonna have like long-term effects on your life, right?
But
However,
so is Secret Rare Ash
it's
Blossom, Bowden. Think about
yeah,
that.
yeah, true, potentially. But then we have to look at it like, okay, you're purchasing this computer for everything that you require it for. You are probably getting one that is well above the means of what you require it for. Right? Like
Yeah.
you are paying extra for like this
right.
arbitrary reason, whether it be brand, this, that, whatever. Like, are you going through all of the economic channels to get this computer for the price that is appropriate for what it is worth? Because I feel like that's when your argument is it's cardboard. I don't like you are paying so much extra. Build your own PC. If that like that makes sense, right? If your argument is always it's cardboard, it's like, well, I mean, like all of the parts and everything associated with the production of your PC, like those shouldn't really lay into the price when you can just buy everything individually and build it yourself and save money, right? Like it should go both ways. I don't think there's any like way around it. Like if you're not trying to be frugal in other facets of life, you can't complain about $100 Yu-Gi-Oh card.
I don't know. It's just before this, you were talking about how do people just want what everything to be commons? Is that the consensus? That was like what you said, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. But like is
Um,
that the consensus? Like should
so everyone. So again, we talked about this
mm,
earlier last night, where a lot of people will say, look at the OCG. The OCG just does, you know, some cards are super rares, and then everything is pretty cheap, and then they have upgraded rarities for the expensive cards.
mm.
And in a real world, that would that would work, I think. But Bowden can go ahead and explain that while in Japan, he learned a lot of things from card stores
Oh,
about Yu-Gi-Oh.
hey, Ryan, can you like there has to be some like basic math here that I'm neglecting.
Okay.
But let's say like so IP in sorry, SP in Japan is a super rare. If
Yes.
we're able to find out like the average ratio of like how many super rares we can pull, I'm sure there's like an equation that will tell
I'm
you
on
what
it.
a super rare should be worth, assuming there's nothing like short printed or anything. So we looked at one of the card stores online and they had 140 copies of SP Little Knight in super rare form. This is before we get into any of the other rarities. And they were charging 780 yen. The next highest super rare was 280 yen. And I'm seeing some very like it's some pretty like this just almost looks the same as what we have for TCG, right? Like if you look at like his 110 US dollar SP Little Knight, like what is the next most expensive secret rare, right? Like it's like wanted at like 50, right? But like if we just look at like the small breakdown, like should a super rare Little Knight like is it 10 times less hard to pull super rare. You know what I mean? You know where I'm sort of like going with this?
Yes,
Because
I
I
do.
think in
Similarly, I
Japan,
mean, it's similar to us with Magnuma, right? Where
yeah.
if you trace back the value of super rares for the last couple sets, there's been no super rare worth more than like $1 for like a long time, and then we saw like Branded Banishment and Scareclaw Arrival were like $2 at their peak because they were played in like good decks, and the set wasn't great, so
Also,
we had
like
to find
obviously
value
on
somewhere.
release is probably a big like
Yeah,
factor as well.
and then
Otherwise,
we
we look
saw
at something like branded opening, right?
oh, branded opening was way later. Yeah, that's like a whole different
Yeah, yeah.
beast. Yeah, that's a whole different beast. And then we saw Tearlament Sheeran be a couple bucks when Tier was really popular because Tier was really popular.
Why not?
And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
we saw Magnamut, and Magnamut was $20 at it, maybe even a little more at its like
Mm-hmm.
highest, and then it kind of settled a little bit around $20. And Drew's Worm, I want to say, was probably around 10, 15 at that time as
It was like a
well.
solid 10, I
Yeah,
think. I
yeah,
think capped at
so
like 50.
like we've
Even like
seen,
Sarne hit like a 5. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like it was.
like we've seen this type of thing happen before, where like that is an astronomical price for a super rare, and people complained about it. And I think that's where, like, before we get too sidetracked from our main argument, I guess, like,
Hmm.
one thing I also want to bring, or what I would like to introduce into evidence, of people complaining about SP is so much. So we have the two arguments that exist currently, which are product is worthless and worth nothing, which a lot of the time I agree with, and
Hmm.
I'm gonna say that wasn't something I really saw anybody talking about before John Moore started posting about it, and I think it's good that he's been kind of introducing that, because it's gotten a conversation started around what otherwise would have been seen as exclusive, like when he posts a picture and it's like a product worth literally nothing, and somebody's like, what's wrong with it being cheap? And it's like, well, your game will die because no one's buying your
Hmm.
product, right? Like that's what's wrong with it. And that is what's wrong with it, is if everything is too cheap and nothing has any value and
Yeah. So
stores
when
can't
something is
sell
selling
them.
below cost price
Yeah,
at a distributor level, like
yeah,
that is when it should be alarming.
then
Like
your
that's
store
when
will stop
nothing
selling
makes
your
sense.
cards, and then your game will no longer be supported, and your game will not have a community. So that's the problem. That's why we can't have the cards be all commons and worth nothing, because if the cards have no value, then there is no financial incentive for Konami to make cards or support tournaments, and then Yu-Gi-Oh no longer exists. That's the reality of it. If all cards
Hmm.
are free, there is nothing to support the game existing. So we want to avoid that. So we've established cards cannot have no value. The other end is cards. If cards have too much value, if cards are too expensive and too hard to get, then the player base is priced out, and there is not a player base, and then your game
Hmm.
declines. So now we have the two ends of the spectrum that we need to avoid. We need to avoid the cards being worthless, because then Konami will not make the cards. And we need to avoid the cards being $1 million, because if everything is $1 million, then nobody can play the game. So we have to find somewhere in the middle, right? The problem
And
is,
I want to say
yeah.
all three of us agree with that. There is a middle ground
Mm-hmm.
somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
All
Because
three
I
of us
think
agree with that.
many
Yes.
people on Twitter believe that I or we do not think that
Yes.
Yu-Gi-Oh has to be expensive and this is the way it has
No,
to be.
I would
No,
prefer to
no, it
spend less
doesn't.
money. I don't think,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't enjoy spending more money. Like, that's not a thing. I wouldn't mind paying less on these cards. Anyways, but I understand that cards have to have value, or else the game does not exist, and I want the game to exist. So now we have to get to the middle ground, which is, what is too much? What are we looking at for rarities? What are we looking at for products? What are we doing? Whatever. Now, the issue I have generally with the this card is too expensive crowd, and again, this is not every single person, it's probably a different person every time, and I just kind of filter it out, and I'm just like, file it in my brain as the same nameless individual who never wants cards to have value, is I see there's a picture of SP Little Knight and it's $100, and they go, this card is too much, and I go, you know what, that card's expensive, like, that's an expensive card. They post a picture of triple talent strike, and then I even go as far to say as SP Little Knight is borderline a tournament staple. If you want to play it at YCS, I do agree that card is going to be in your deck 90% of the time. That card should be in your deck, unless you're playing a deck that cannot summon it. That card should be in your deck. Then to the next level, somebody posts a picture of Triple Tactics Thrust, and it's $90. And they go, this card's too expensive, like, blah, 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 blah. And I go, okay, that card is expensive. However, I don't think every deck should play that card. I think there are some decks that do not need to play that card. And you have a wide variety of decks available to you without Triple Tactics Thrust being an optimal choice. That is like, to bar Jeff, Triple Tactics Thrust is a luxury. You do not need Triple Tactics Thrust to compete in a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament, right? Like, that is not a card that must go. I think if you're playing, maybe like if you're playing Unchained, that card should probably be in your main deck because it has, good application. If you're playing anything else, I could justify, you could tell me, yeah, I'm not playing Thrust on my mainer side, and I'd go, okay. And I would ask no further questions. I'd be like, that makes sense. Then we go further down the, down the rabbit hole of cards that are like $50. And somebody goes, this is too expensive. And I go, well, it's an extra deck staple. Like, everyone needs one of, like when Zeus was like $40, people are like, Zeus is too expensive. And I go like, well, I don't think $40 is that expensive. I think that's like a sweet spot. I think like a $40 card for a card like Zeus is like a perfectly reasonable price point for that type of card. And that is where I kind of like fall off on the argument of just like, and again, I'm speaking from a different position. I don't know everybody's financial situation. And that is where I kind of think, if this is your hobby and this is what you want to do, and you're saying $40, this one-time purchase of $40 is too much for this thing that I've been doing for years and is my main source of enjoyment, I'm sorry. I think just either don't play Zeus or you should do something else. And I know that's mean or that's cold maybe, but it's like, not everything can be free to do if it's for your enjoyment. Like, and then eventually these cards will get reprinted and they will be cheaper and you will be able to have these cards. So I feel like eventually it evens out. Then we get further down the line where I see people post pictures of like $5 Ash Blossoms and they go, this is too expensive for a new player. And that is where I draw the line.
Wait,
that
people
is
do
where,
that?
yes. People literally are
Who?
like, Ash Blossom is
Well,
it just,
people say like, I can't believe I'm paying $5 for a common. That's like
yes,
what you're
that's what they
saying,
say.
right? Yeah.
They literally go, I cannot believe this common from the structure deck is
Oh,
$5 like this, and I just my mind explodes,
er,
and
okay.
I just
All right.
go, okay, like, and I think and that's the other thing where they fixate on the rarity of a card too much. Also,
Yeah.
where like technically the rarity does not like the rarity of a card in all honesty does not matter. It's the scarcity and the distribution of a card is the thing that makes it worth something. But it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it literally is just like, that is where I draw the line. That is where I can that is where I can no longer tolerate, where I go like, if you think $5 for the most played card in the game is too much, I don't know what you want. Like, I do not know where you're like, you know, I just that's where it all crumbles for me. And again, and like, people complained to Magnum it was too expensive. It was only a super rare. Why is it $20? And it's like, well, if SP Little Knight was a super rare, it would be
Supply never
$20.
meets demand. That's the
That's
issue,
okay.
right? Like,
Hot take. Sorry, if SP Little Knight was a super rare in the TCG, it would be $10 to
it would be.
$15, and people would
I
complain
think
about
it
it.
would be too.
I feel like, yeah, I guess like it can be
And they would
reasonable. I was gonna
complain,
say
and we know
I
they
was trying to
would.
parallel like Doc maybe, but I think like this set probably gets opened enough where maybe it just is lower than that, but
Dark
that
was
will be
also a
opened
couple
enough,
bucks.
right?
Dark was a couple bucks as
Uh,
well, and SP would definitely be played more than
I
Dark.
think 10 is probably the sweet spot, but I could
Yeah,
see it be below 10. Yeah.
and I think people would complain about it. I
Yeah.
think they would say, "That's dumb that I'm paying $10 for a super rare."
Yeah, I mean,
No,
that's just kind
I
of
agree.
it goes back to the sentiment of you can't keep everyone happy. Someone is going to be mad or not like the way things are.
Hmm.
And even
And
if we do find this kind of middle ground for Yu-Gi-Oh, there are still people who are not going to be happy about it. But
All
that's
right.
kind of
This is
yeah.
a question that I posed to Jeff, all right? And it was, let's say they take the Japanese like core set rarity distribution and they just throw it into our like next core set. Do you think that's sustainable at the current price point
No,
for Yu-Gi-Oh boxes? I don't think it
no.
is, right? Like I do not think like Yu-Gi-Oh as a whole can get away with the rarity bump solely being cosmetics. Like I think you need high rarity
Mm,
cards because this product isn't getting opened or ordered by any of the people that would be opening or ordering card games like One Piece, Pokemon, Digimon. And there's enough filler in a set where you're not into limited play like Flesh and Blood or Magic the Gathering. And I think that's the biggest issue, right? So like Yu-Gi-Oh in its own unique model, um, can skew some rarity distribution for TCG compared to OCG, and then it makes it more sustainable for our end compared to like the other card games where like for the sake of it being uh I'm trying to pull a Charizard, right? Like I'm trying to pull the high rarity Charizard. I'm gonna open this box regardless of if it's correct or not. Right? Like
right.
that's
So
yeah.
that's something I want to touch on. Whereas a lot of also the kind of rebuttals to the conversation go to look at Pokemon, look how like cheap Pokemon is to play, and people don't understand that Pokemon is a franchise that is way bigger than just the card game, and people will buy the cards and boxes regardless because of that.
Because of the
Because there's
franchise, not the cards.
because of the
Mhm.
franchise and like the collectability, just wanting to collect the cards, where Yu-Gi-Oh is only the card game. That's all there is.
Yeah,
There's not a giant franchise
like,
around it.
yeah, there are definitely some small pocket of people that collect it, for various reasons. But like, yes, I agree with you. Like Pokemon, I I'm sure not even half of the sales are from people that actually play the game.
No,
I'm probably
absolutely
not
not.
even close. Probably like
And
significantly
if you
lower than
go
that.
back and look at my Twitter, I a couple months back, I asked Pokemon Twitter to tell me about their game, ask them
Hmm.
questions about that, and
Yeah,
why certain things about their game aren't as big as Yu-Gi-Oh! And they told me themselves, you can go there, that Pokemon as a franchise is way bigger
than just the
than
card
Yu-Gi-Oh!
game.
But
Yeah,
it's just more than just the card game, and a lot of people, when you go on YouTube, you see so many more pack opening videos than you do people focusing on Pokemon gameplay because people
Mhm.
collect Pokemon more.
yeah.
So Pokemon can afford to have these cheaper decks because they're going to buy it no matter what. People are going to buy the product no matter what because it is Pokemon. Right.
And I don't think Yu-Gi-Oh has the same benefit of like being able to just shoehorn in a like nostalgia Duel Monsters era card in like an alternate art or like a max
It
rarity
doesn't work.
to sell the
Like
set. It does, yeah. I
we've
don't
seen
think it
it
works.
not work. Like
No, exactly right. Like we've seen
Yeah.
like quite a few things like
we've
that where
seen
it
the
just
Dark
doesn't
Magician
pan
in Battle of
out.
Chaos, and I will
Yeah.
say that Dark Magician did help Battle of Chaos be a fine set. Like Battle of
Hmm.
Chaos is not one of those sets that is $40 a box as opposed to some of these other sets that are right. Like,
Yes.
but
I
it's
feel like
not a
that card should have
fantastic
been a
set.
higher rarity. If that card was a Starlight rare, everything would have been sold.
Maybe,
I like,
yeah,
and I understand why it was an ultra rare because that's what it was in Japan for the
yeah,
promotional thing as well, I believe.
yeah.
So
It
I
was.
assume there was some political red tape going on there. But like it's definitely like it can be a step in the right direction, but I don't think that's going to end up being like the sole incentive to purchase a set, right? Like when people are like, yeah, the set that has Ash as a Starlight Rare, like when people were assuming that Ash would end up being in the Starlight Rare spot, during COVID era,
Hmm.
that everyone was like, man, that set's gonna go crazy. And it's like I don't think it would have. Like if it was Ash and like 3 to 4 other Starlight Rares that were mid, it's very likely that Ash is still not going to be a key selling point, just given how hard it is to pull a card like that. So, like, you need the other ones to also carry some weight. And then you also need the rest of the set to not be terrible. Like, I think we saw it with a lot of sets during COVID where, like, it doesn't matter how crazy you make some of these Starlight Rares, like, it doesn't salvage the bottom end. Like that's where the biggest issue comes from. So I think short of like a one of one serialized card in a core set, you're not gonna get that same exposure. And like I would welcome serialized cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like I think that would be a very cool concept.
Yeah.
And like I would like to see some unique things like happen like not saying, like that's unique. Like yes, Magic literally just did it, and like One Piece is doing it for like their tournament cards and stuff like that. It's not unique, but it's just like it's unique to what Yu-Gi-Oh has had over the last 20 or so years.
The
I think
closest
it's
we
like a nice
have
shakeup.
is the new YCS prize cards are like sort of serialized, like
They
kind of.
I don't think it's like
It's not the
even
same.
close. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
I
It
agree.
feels like
It's not the
it's a
same.
cheap
But
alternative.
yeah.
But
So one argument we haven't touched, well, we touched on it a little bit, but not like honed in on it, is the common argument we see to these concerns is just do it like the OCG does it. They
I was just
do
about to bring that up
variable
because 32 seconds
rarities.
ago, I got
Yeah.
another comment about it.
Yeah, which is, for those of you who don't know how it works in Japan, I will give you an explanation, because I think a lot of people that cite this actually just don't know how the packs work. So, in the TCG, for the longest time, packs were 8 commons and a rare, and then you had a chance of having a super rare in your pack instead of a rare, or an ultra rare, sometimes secret rare, sometimes ultimate rare, depending on when you bought your pack. Eventually, the rares in the core sets were shifted out. I don't remember exactly when that was. It was like Echo maybe, or something, maybe a little before Echo, I think. Eventually, but
Mhm.
rares were removed from core sets, and it's just you get 8 commons and a super rare, and then you have a chance of an ultra rare or a secret rare. And then for a while, there were no variable rarity cards in these sets. Then they came out with Starlight rares and Quarter Century rares, and now we have the side sets with collector's rares, and I'm sure you're all familiar with how those work. In Japan, this has not changed for a long time. I do not know exactly when this began, but I know as far back as 10 years ago, what I'm about to say was accurate. So their rarities are only common, rare, super, ultra. Those are the baseline rarities that cards can be. Secret rare, even. So ultimate rares exist, and so do secret rares in their packs. But secret rare is not a rarity tier. Secret rare is a cosmetic upgrade. So how it works, or it's been this way for a long time. I don't know exactly when it started. Is you you get 5 cards per pack. You're not even guaranteed a rare. You could get 5 commons. Not that getting a rare is, which is also why when people point out things like, well, Fenrir is a rare in Japan, that actually means something, because you do not get a rare in every pack. So Fenrir being a rare in Japan is actually kind of the equivalent of it being a super rare or even an ultra rare here, because you do not get a rare in every pack. So that is its own thing. And Spellbook of Judgment being a rare back in Tachyon, for anybody who remembers that. But then super rares, which is your SP Little Knights and whatever. Your super rares are actually generally where they put their chase cards, because
Mhm.
those can also be secret rare and quarter century secret rare and whatever, like all the variable rarities. So in Japan, you see a lot of the best cards being super rare because they can get bumped to all the cool rarities. And if you look at the SP Little Knights in Japan, I think you said that the super rare was like $20. And then if you look at the secret and the collector, or the quarter century rare, I'm sure they're infinite. Then,
No, I think the super SP is like $7, but
oh,
yeah.
sure, whatever,
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
yeah.
So Super SP is 780 yen.
Mm-hmm.
And then the quarter century one was 25,000 yen,
Which is
right?
250
Something like that.
$230, something like that, right?
Give or take like
200
200.
something dollars,
And
yeah.
surprisingly, the Diabell Star is actually the most
More
expensive.
expensive. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh the Magician Unity Bonds card
Yeah,
thing, that
yeah,
is the most
yeah.
expensive.
Okay, so then
Yeah.
then they have ultra rares, and their ultra rares can also come as secret rare. Their ultra rares can come as
Yeah.
ultimate rare, and then one one ultra rare in the set comes as holographic rare, which is their equivalent to a ghost rare. And that is how their set breakdown works. It's very different. And we see, like the card and their card prices and their product prices are very different. And you mentioned some, I don't remember if it was Jeff or Bowden. One of you mentioned a while ago, if we just adopted that exactly, do you think it would be sustainable for the TCG? And I don't
Hmm.
think so.
I don't think it is, and that's why I'm interested to see how well received Rarity Collection is. And I think this is what's gonna happen. We might get caught in this little trap where Konami, as well as like stores, like distributors and everything else, they look at this rarity model for the Rarity Collection, and they think, okay, this is really like good, like it's selling quite well, and they're gonna try and do something similar. And it's like, let's look at all the cards that they reprinted in this set. If you were to do a Rarity Collection 2,
Yeah.
what would you even put
What
in
would
it?
you put it? What's left, right? Very few
What's left?
cards.
But
Yeah.
at the same time as well, I think there is a point where it's like very dependent on like if we just look at like what's left as well. But like even if it's like you do some double ups, you do another unique rarity, and it's like that's also probably just like to the same extent just flooding. It just doesn't make sense, right? Like you make a unique rarity for the sake of being able to reprint this card. It just seems kind of irrelevant. But like then what do we do with the tins? What do we do with any of the other like subsets? Like it just doesn't make sense to me.
I
Like
think we're getting
when you still
away
have
from
deck building
the
sets.
topic.
Yeah, we really are. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's sustainable in the sense that I think our product schedule is a lot deeper. We have like a lot more of these expected side sets, right? Like because Japan has them, but theirs are more condensed. Like I remember we opened like the world premiere pack or something at Worlds, and like it just wasn't even like a booster box that commanded like a high price point. It was one of those ones where like I think it has 10 packs in it,
Yeah.
and
So
uh
they
and like
have different
everything is
products
common,
also.
everything's rare, stuff like that, right? And that would
Yeah.
just be in like one of our side sets.
No, so basically they also have like their product configuration for different. Oh, also
Mm.
I believe OCG booster boxes are 30 packs of 5 cards per pack instead of 24 packs of 9 cards per pack, but that's whatever.
But I think
They're
that's only
they're
for
they're
a core set.
Or
core
36
sets are 30
30
30 packs for
of
and 5 per
5 cards,
pack.
yeah.
That's core
Yeah.
Yeah.
sets.
So then for the side sets that you're talking about, Bowden. So for example, their equivalent, I remember in 2018 we got Hidden Summoners, right, which is the set that has like prank kids
Mm.
in it. And yeah, I believe it was literally like a box of Hidden Summoners was like 10 packs or something. It
Mhm.
was like a really tiny box. This is gonna reach way back. Do you guys remember a premium pack with like marshmallow
Yeah,
on?
yeah.
That a box of
Yeah, yeah.
premium pack. It was a small box and it didn't have that many packs in it. That's what it is. Is they also have like they're like much smaller like deck building sets and the distribution is different. It's not a full thing. It's very different. But um, I don't have anything else to say on this topic. I want to kind of move on to
Okay,
talk
no,
about the
so
rarity
so
collection.
I
But
I think that the biggest difference is, as well, is just like we have all of these additional like subsets that aren't on like the Japanese schedule, right? Like our maze of memories, and like what they do is they take the smaller Japanese sets, they throw it into this set, and then they have all these like other reprints on top, right? Like
yes,
that's like the
they take a
traditional thing
small
before
Japanese
we
set
even
and then
get
they
into
expand
deck
upon it.
building sets, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
like we have all of these reprints on top, and then they're gonna have all these like whether it be collector rare, quarter century, whatever. And then you get to sets like this, and then we're just gonna keep finding this overlap, and you're just gonna have things in like the same rarity. Like you can never accommodate it. So I think there's only one logical one logical progression here of just cutting down like the amount of things that are being released, right? Like that's like the only thing. You just have to put two of these OCG exclusive sort of sets into one set, like a mama set. We'll have extra pack cards and then like collector chronicle, whatever Japan likes to call it now. Like
Animation
that's the only
Chronicle.
thing that makes
Yeah.
sense to me is that you just remove a set from our rotation, and it probably like saves the sanity of a lot of store owners and like
Yeah,
vendors and everything else.
because
Like that's probably
that's
another big one.
one final thing about set releases, I guess, to go on what you're talking about is even back to the assumption of cards are expensive or cards are not expensive, or we buy more cards than most people because we play this game more than most people, or some people can't afford cards, some people can't afford cards. No matter what your situation is, unless you are literally like this is your job, or you are just so rich. Money literally does not matter. It is tough to buy cards when different sets are released so close to each other. And
Mm,
it is unfortunate, I think, right now, however it was planned out or whatever, that we have the Rarity collection coming out in a week and a half, which is everybody's excited for. And then we had Age of Overlord come out last week, which by all accounts is the best core set of the year. It's
yeah.
tough to buy both when they come out 2 weeks apart. It's tough
It's,
when you had such a weak
it's
product
now.
schedule and then it's so strong right in a condensed
Mhm.
spot.
Yeah, not only is it tough for the consumer, it's really tough for stores
Stores,
too.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, stores, it's really hard, and stores, OTS are the pinnacle of Yu-Gi-Oh! I think it goes unsaid a lot where if like local stores did not exist, or if they fail, your community around you fails, and when the community fails, then it just snowballs into other things. And I know a lot of people who, put a lot of money into this last set of Age of Overlord, and then also had to be able to afford Rarity Collection,
Mhm.
It's
and
tough.
because
It's
they're
really
both
tough.
so anticipated, they had to order a lot of each, and it might put them in the hole. I know stores that are like actually really struggling with that right now. Um,
'Cause
and
then
so
we have the other issue though, right? Where it's like, if these stores, because it looks like FOMO, but in reality, it's just like you want to be able to get enough product each and every time. But then the problem comes down to when the product is bad, it's bad. When
yeah,
the
you get
product is
Then
fucked.
good,
you bought
Yeah,
too much.
you
Yeah.
never have enough. When the product is good, you never have enough.
Yeah.
That's the biggest issue, right?
And I think
Uh,
that's like, and I think like the silver lining of this exact scenario is Age of Overlord is out, and we know it is a home run. It is a
mhm.
fantastic set, right? Like it's very good value, very good cards. Everyone is like, I think that's the other thing. When cards are expensive, people complain about the cards being expensive, and no one talks about how much better opening the product feels. Which I think like
Oh yeah,
when
yeah.
cards are cheap, people say, okay, cards are cheap. They
and then
they
you open a box and
they
you feel like
get
shit
real.
afterwards.
Now they get real quick to go, product is bad. Then when the cards get expensive and the product is good, people don't go, well, at least the product's good. They go, cards too expensive. And that's the problem, I think, is that they
Mhm.
always focus on the negative, right? Um but yeah, like, so we know Age of Overlord, fantastic set, very good value, very good cards, like in my opinion, also just like fun cards for the most part. And then Rarity Collection isn't out yet, but I think we all agree it'll sell very well. So at least the stores that are in a bad spot right now will be fine if they bought a bunch of these sets, because both of these sets are very, very good. Now imagine this happening to two bad sets. You
Mhm.
probably stop carrying Yu-Gi-Oh
I
after that,
think
right?
this borderline did in 2020,
Yeah.
right? Yep, it was exactly Phantom Rage and
And Blazing Vortex.
uh
Blazing
nah,
dumpster
Phantom
fire,
Rage
as they
and
like to talk
Genesis
about.
Impact.
Oh, Genesis. I forgot
Oh,
Genesis.
Genesis Impact
Yeah,
was
I don't even
real
think Genesis
bad.
Impact was that bad, but yes, I
it
agree. It
was
wasn't.
very
It wasn't.
bad
It
at the
wasn't.
beginning.
Oh no, at
Yeah,
the beginning it was. I think it was just like eventually the Drytron cards picked it up, and
it
then
was
and and then the
heinous.
Live Twin cards picked up when the Live Twins got new support.
So
But
fun fact, I really wanted to check back and I was gonna be like, I wonder if there's anything you can even look at like for Dune and say, wow, I hope I pull like this secret rare, otherwise my box is worthless.
Revolution
And I'm
Synchron.
scrolling down, and all of page one is only quarter
It
century
used to
rares,
be
unless I
Revolution
can.
Synchron, but that card didn't
Yeah.
do anything because we don't have good synchro monsters to make in the TCG. So it
Oh my
just kept
god,
going
Rev
down.
Synchron is just a $20 card.
I
Oh my
know.
goodness,
I know.
that's
Yep.
crazy.
Yep. I know. I know it is crazy, isn't
So I want to like tinfoil hat theory real quick
it?
while
Okay.
we're still on the subject
Yeah.
of pricing of cards.
Okay.
Uh, so Japan obviously has the format of most cards are cheap, the expensive cards are just rarity bumps. And part of me believes, because I mean, I just know how companies works, that Konami has to make a quota. And so part of me believes that they make it easier to get cards in Japan and make it harder here to make up for the money. So basically, I think that Yu-Gi-Oh in Japan might be printed as on a loss, and then here it is made so that they make up for that loss. So TCG gets quote unquote fucked, and OCG gets the easier time, but so they will lose money there and they make all the money here. Does that make sense?
So you're saying not even in terms of like a field tester, that it's more like I mean, it could be considered that,
It's
right?
like we keep Japan customers happy with the
Yeah.
cards because they get cheap, obtainable cards, and we print this as a loss. As long as they're happy, it's fine. And then we make up that money over in TCG by making things harder to get, making things more expensive.
Well, I mean, like, you would optimize your entire structure. Like, if you really look at it, Japan is such a small market relative to the other chunk of market share that Yu-Gi-Oh has from the TCG end, right? I would think
Yes.
so. Like, just by scale, I feel like you have to view Japan as one of the smaller markets. So, like, if you were to make decisions like that, you would obviously pick like the larger market. You're allowed to get away with stuff like that more frequently, I feel.
But
Whereas in
it's
a
already
smaller
proven
one,
that it's already proven that it's worked here. So this is another thing that I want to point out that
yeah.
never in the course of Yu-Gi-Oh history have cards being expensive stop people from playing Yu-Gi-Oh. Thousands of people still go. 1,900 people just showed up at the last YCS. And
Oh, yes.
Konami will see this and think, why should we change the way things work if people are still buying the cards and showing up to events? So, as
Yeah.
much as people want to complain about prices, again, I will reiterate, never in the course of Yu Gi Oh! History has expensive cards stopped record breaking turnouts and people from buying cards.
It's the same with
And
the
as long
pricing
as,
for events as well. Like,
right, right, they see people,
if you don't enjoy it and you complain about all of the things that have to happen with Yu-Gi-Oh,
mhm.
it's very simple to like, and I'm not saying this from like, oh, you don't like it, don't play it. It's just like if you because it seems like you don't enjoy it, then
it's,
you don't play it. No, because
it's
no,
like
does that
the,
make sense? Like, just don't play. I don't get it. If I
that,
don't
now,
like something, I just don't touch
I
it.
I
Like,
really I
yeah,
wait. I really liked you're like. So I'm not saying like I'm not like devolving the argument down to if you don't like it, don't play it. But it
yeah.
really seems like you don't like it. But like
No,
and yeah, I
like
agree.
actually though, because how else do you solve the issues at hand? Everyone else is still attending. Like if this is the vocal majority, then do something about it.
Yeah.
If you
right.
don't like the
And
So
stop
thing,
this
then
is where
attending.
it gets,
Yeah.
do not consume. Like, I don't understand.
it gets to the quote, put your money where your mouth is, which means that if people really don't like the way certain things are run or certain like the way things are, you either stop spending money altogether, stop going to events, and then Konami will see that and then change things accordingly. But as long as people are still
Well,
spending money going to events, what reason do they have to change?
no, but it's funny because it's based on the secondary market as well.
Hmm.
Like, what is who is the consumer base? Who is dictating this pricing? Who is creating this demand? It is you,
So
my
so
friend. It
so
is
yeah,
you.
yes, but whenever that is brought up, there's also, the rebuttal that Konami printed these cards knowing, and the rarity they did, knowing that people would have to spend extra money to get them because they are harder to get. So if you get two and a
TG
half
Rocket
S
Salamander is a
so if you
dollar.
get 2.5 SPs per case, you know, it's creating like this artificial inflation before the cards
It,
get to
okay, yeah, no, I'll
our
agree with that.
hands. They do. There is like by doing that, they know this card is going to be worth more. Do they think SP was going to be $100 card? I thought SP was going to be $100 card, but that's that's just me. I don't know
No,
what Konami thinks. And again, I want to reiterate, all of us agree we think that Konami can do better. So many of our podcasts prior to this, if you want to go listen to them, talk about how why do they do this? This could be so much better, so much
Oh yeah.
easier, right? How many times have we said that? I
Like
feel like it's every
like that
podcast.
that rarity collection stuff, like I said to Jeff, I'm like, so do we know the set list? And Jeff was just like, yeah, it's the whole Japanese one that we've known for like however long. And I'm just like, I thought we didn't like, you know what I mean? Where everyone was just like, it's gonna be the Japanese one, and I gave them way more credit. I was like, surely they just don't get this lazy and just copy the Japanese set list. Like, you could just do so many cool, unique things for a TCG rarity collection and just like pick iconic cards. You can even shoehorn stuff for the legacy formats like Goat and Edison that obviously Japan doesn't even factor into any of their like, you know, the makeup of any of their reprint sets.
Nope.
Right? Like I feel like we neglected a lot of cool stuff that could have happened, and I feel kind of cheated by that, low key.
You mean you didn't want Tri Brigade Revolt in quarter century secret rare? The
I would
most
I would
iconic
rather
trap
choke.
of the
I also
modern
didn't
dueling
I didn't
era.
want the Blackwing card. I didn't
Yeah,
want the
yeah,
Blue Eyes Abyss Dragon.
I
I wanted
know.
none of those
I know.
things. You could
So
have done so many. If you're going to put pack filler into a pack like this, at least give me something that I can build a really crappy legacy deck for.
yeah.
Because you know what happened when they, what was the other one? It's like, we have to put Blackwing cards in here. What are we putting in here? It's like, here's Vayu. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that was probably the greatest reprint that has been done in like, I don't even know. Like that was long
Mhm.
awaited. You know, it's
Yeah.
so
Okay.
simple, man.
But can I
Oh
so before
yes.
we move on again, I have to say one thing before this thought is gone. The whole
Mm.
like who is the one making these prices? It is you. Like you are the one
Yes.
consuming whatever. I just for fun checked. I just checked TCG player. As of time of recording, we've been recording for a little over an hour. It is currently 12:38 p.m. So we like the day is young. There have been 38 copies of SP sold on TCG Player for no less than $97 today. Today.
Mm-hmm.
There've been 38 and this is like not even, we are now like almost a week removed from the set release and 38 copies of this $100 card have sold by noon. Like these cards are this expensive because people are willing to buy them for this price. Secret SP Little
Yeah.
Knight is worth more than 21 of the 25 quarter century secret rares. And
Yes,
that is
Brian,
insane.
it is 100 times
That is
the amount
crazy.
of the lowest secret rare, which is TG Rocket Salamander.
Which is $1, yes. I know.
Yes.
I know.
100 is SP Little Knight 100 times better than TG
I
Rocket?
think it's more.
Yeah,
Yes, it is. I think it's
actually,
more
yes,
than
yeah.
100 times better.
Is
I
it,
think
it is
it's
more than 100
I
times
I
better,
think it
yes.
is
By a
more
wide margin. However, they are printed in the same like
the
rarity,
same
with
rarity.
the same distribution.
Curious.
Yes,
Yeah,
period. Yeah, you
yes, literally.
participate in Yu-Gi-Oh trading card
Yeah.
game. Yeah,
Yeah. That is very funny.
yeah.
That now
So
is
again,
SP Little
back to
Knight.
the final point. I do want people. I feel like I have to say it 100
I
times
know.
because people are going to. But we all agree that there is a middle ground. Yu-Gi-Oh can do better,
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
right?
Things can always
Okay.
be
Okay.
improved. Yeah. But
Yes.
but
Okay.
I also think how about this? Let me introduce this. I think things can truly only be improved when the actual problems are the things people want improved. I
Mm-hmm.
think some things are not that bad. Like there are things far worse that need to be addressed before like a card being too expensive and therefore making a product have value is far from the biggest issue Yu-Gi-Oh faces right now and is not
Oh,
what the
absolutely.
community, like demanding Age of Overlord be a worse product monetarily is not what the community should be rallying behind today. If I'll just leave it at that.
Definitely not. Like, if they really break down it's only cardboard, right?
Yeah.
And then they really wanted to get into the nitty-gritty of looking at how a YCS distributes its pricing based on, entry versus entrance versus all these other factors that they probably have no idea about, then I'm sure they could find something there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm gonna put that out there. I genuinely think like if you like break everything down microscopically, or like even just go in like the broader sense of like 2,000 people showed up and paid $25, and that person got 24 packs to top 16. Like that's more egregious, I feel, than just anything else. Like
I
that's
agree.
just ridiculous. But like you just say, yeah, but this is a piece of cardboard. It shouldn't be 100. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think those both go hand in hand almost. But like the people that are complaining aren't the competitive players that do. Do you see the issue here? Like, I feel like it's just like two separate pockets entirely, and it's like we're just two different sides of the coin. Like, these are people that we will never see at a YCS. So the price of this card shouldn't matter. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
that's a little bit too generalized and a little bit too mean, but
That's
it seems
yeah.
like it's the case. Let's be honest, right?
So
Like,
so if we
So,
can, oh, sorry, Jeff. Go ahead.
no,
Say something.
we're talking about how going back to it just being like cardboard or paper. There are, other competitive games you have l- like there's like miniature games, right?
mm,
You have like Hero Clicks and like Warhammer and stuff like that. And these things are just plastic, but should they be worth any money? So I know some of these miniatures are worth a lot of money. And you know what's more expensive between paper and plastic? Paper's more expensive than plastic.
Okay, I was gonna say like
Plastic is the cheapest.
I don't want to
Yes.
raise my hand and give the wrong answer to the teacher. You know, like
And
I
so
don't want to.
and
I
I'm
don't.
sure someone's going to in the comments is going to go, actually,
Yeah.
like
So,
miniatures aren't made of plastic, they're made of
some polymer, and they'll be like, "All
something
right,
else.
fine,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever." Well, actually, Yu-Gi-Oh cards aren't made of paper. I mean, and they probably, I don't know, they probably are
Or maybe
cardboard. I don't
it's
know.
actually probably it's probably like some kind of rubber or something like that.
Yeah,
But I think there are like other things involved. Like there are other things like Yu-Gi-Oh is more than just paper.
yeah.
Um
Yes, I
o-
agree with you.
otherwise sports cards would be worth nothing, and you have old sports cards worth things, and those are just paper with a picture on it too.
Yeah,
And it's just been something that's been done over time.
yeah,
So I don't think it's a simple. People like to simplify things and make it again as black and white as it's just paper, just cardboard. No, it's more than that. And if it was just that, I don't think people would be taking it as seriously
yeah.
uh, uh, as they are.
Which we've brought up a number of times about the OCG product distribution of variable rarities and there being low rarity printings of cards and high rarity printings of cards. So in theory, everyone in perfect harmony can be together where the budget players can get their cards for $1 and the whales can spend $200 on their max rarity version and peace is restored throughout the land. And we're finally getting our first taste of that in the TCG with the Rarity Collection next week that we've alluded to many times. And I would like the final thing we talk about today to be that, as we've pretty much talked about the alleged implications of a set like that and why we don't think it's sustainable for the TCG and why we don't think every single like I maintain the TCG could not make every single product they release like that. I just don't think it would work. There for reasons we've talked about already, I think. But
mm-hmm.
I think for a one-time deal or a not maybe one-time deal, maybe even like an annual deal, maybe even less frequently. You know, like an infrequent, like once in a blue moon product can definitely make that product, that structure work. And we're gonna get it for the first time in ever next week. I can't think of another time we've had a product like this.
Hmm.
I can't think of one. So, um, what do we think about that? I'm just gonna do a really quick breakdown of the rarity distribution and a bit of the math behind it, just so we're all kind of on the same page. We talked about this a little bit before we started recording. So, my math on this, I've rounded it off to like if we went a few more decimal points, somebody in the comments could be like, actually, you were a quarter of a percent off on what you said. And yes, I know I'm not going to go through the whatever. I'm going to just give you a vague outline of what you can expect. So how the rarity collection works: there you get 5 cards per pack, and there are 2 super rares, 2 ultra rares, and 1 secret rare. And now the super rares will always be super rares. Every single pack of the Rarity collection will have 2 super rare cards. And every card in the set can be in any rarity. However, the ultra rares and the secret rares have independent chances to be upgraded to I believe the product page calls them luxury rarities, which are the OCG Ultimate, the OCG Collector's Rare, Extra Secret Rare, which I still have not seen a picture of, but is similar, I believe, to the old 2015 tins with like Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon and Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. Or it can be upgraded to a quarter century secret rare. And how that works is the ultra rares, each ultra rare has a 1 in 6 independent chance of being an ultimate or a collector's rare. And then the secret rare slot has a 1 in 4 chance of being either a quarter century secret rare or an extra secret rare. We don't know if it's an even split. So for example, the product page does not specify if it is essentially 1 in 8 to be extra secret rare or 1 in 8 to be quarter century secret rare. It just says 1 in 4 to be one of those two. So maybe it's evenly distributed. Maybe it's weighted differently. We don't know. Same thing with ultras. It just says 1 in 6 chance to be upgraded to either collector's rare or ultimate rare. We don't know if collector's rare or ultimate rare have the same chance or if one is slightly higher. But how that math basically works out, essentially, you have a roughly 48% chance to have one of your 3 slots be an upgrade. Roughly 48. I don't know. I don't remember the exact decimals. I didn't write it down. In my notes, I just wrote roughly 48. So I don't remember if it's 48.5 or 47.5. It's somewhere in that range. Roughly 48. So if we want to round it off even further, about half of your packs will have one of these upgraded rarities. And then the product page also mentions there's a chance of all 3 of your cards being upgraded. And if my math was correct on that, it's a little under 1% to have your pack be all 3 cards be an upgrade. So there's a little under 1%. It's like it's like like 0.7 or 0.75% or something around there for your pack to have a collector's rare, an ultimate rare, and a quarter century secret rare in it, right? Like to have all 3 of those. So if you get a case, you will get 2 of those packs on average in your case, because it should be about every 4 to 5 boxes you'll get a pack with all 3. And there
So
are
we could
12.
call that a god pack, right?
Yes. So we can call that, yes, like a god pack, which other games have had
that's
for a
cool.
while.
I like that.
Yeah, I do like
I
that.
wish
Yeah.
I wish Yu-Gi-Oh did a god
Yeah.
pack type thing. That'd be
I
pretty
don't.
sick. But
I did not. So it's also possible to get 2 of a rare, to get 2 of a special rarity in the same pack. I did not write down the exact percentage of that, but just thinking about it, just like estimating it off the top of my head, I think it'll be about 1 per box should have 2, if I'm thinking about this correctly, which when you guys share your thoughts, I am going to do the math and then I'll come back with a real answer. But I believe, just a quick estimate, I believe it's roughly 1 pack per box will have 2 upgrades in it. So what that will generally work out to, I believe that we talked about before we started recording, on average, again, this is no guarantee. This is just through the whole run of everything. On average, in a box of the Rarity collection, on average, you will get 3 quarter century secret rares, 3 extra secret rares, 6 ultimate rares, and 6 collector's rares on average. Again, this is definitely those are the numbers I worked out just from me literally just doing it on my phone and not checking my work at all. But I believe that is roughly the distribution you should get from opening a box of this. So when you open a case, multiply all those numbers by 12, you should get 36 quarter century secret rares, 36 extra secret rares. Wait, did I do that? Yes. And then what did I say for the other ones? And then 72 collector's rares and 72 ultimate rares on average from a case. And then you'll get God knows how many supers and ultras of secrets of all of the wonderful, beautiful cards in this set. Like you'll get you will be able to dive in a Scrooge McDuck pond of super rare barons from
Yeah,
opening a
so I was
case.
just
Like that is so that is the math behind this product and how I believe it'll work out. There are 79 cards in the set for the TCG. So if you want
They
a
should have just been
complete
80, and they should have just
yeah,
put Maxi in it.
all right. All right. So I'll let you guys take it away for a little bit on your thoughts while I do the math on how often you'll get 2 of a card in a pack, because now I'm
Well,
curious.
unfortunately, my thoughts are very simple, whereas I'm just really excited to open the set. I really like opening packs, and I think the card I'm most excited to get, hopefully, is a quarter century tour guide from the underworld, and maybe like quarter century Lone Fire Blossom. I think those are the two I'm most excited for.
I am probably not opening this because I don't think the EV is there to open it. From my perspective, I think singles will be quite good. And this is like probably a really good entry set. And maybe if you're just trying to high roll, I'm just not sure where the high roll is in terms of getting your money back versus
Hmm.
like opening the product, which is where it's kind of weird. But it'll be interesting to see how this sort of set stabilizes because I think there was a lot of buzz surrounding it. So it'll be interesting to see what stores like Gamer's Choice and stuff will end up doing when they have hundreds or like thousands of copies of individual cards. And like, will there be a race to the bottom? Maybe. I think maybe some stores are going to try and make their money back as soon as they can, and they might see the opportunity in like
I
dumping
think
a lot of the lower end.
I think the average store should just not be opening this and just selling the
Mm.
sealed product.
I think I can agree with that. I think your margin is pretty good. I think this is gonna be like a nice long term set. Like this is a set that I would be very happy with getting at my locals pretty frequently. Like this would just be fine. Like if every week for the foreseeable future was just like a winner box, and you have the opportunity to win a set like this, I would be happy with that. This like if my locals had this set in stock forever, I would not complain, and like I'd stick by that. Like it seems like it has good longevity. These are all tournament playable cards. Once it's out of print, it's out of print. And like you hope that once it's out of print, it'll retain some value, and they don't do like RC02 next year, and it's got half of these cards in it. Like that would actually
Yeah.
just like
I wonder if they're going
just
to do an
spit in
unlim
my
printing
my
of this
face.
product if it does really well. I wonder.
Well, yeah, it's interesting that these sets differentiate like first ed, right? Because you feel like this is a set where if you're differentiating first ed, you open the floodgates to a potential unlim reprint, and we've only seen that for Power of the Elements, right?
Yeah, Power of the
In like
Elements
recent
is the
years.
only set in a long time that's gotten an
Hmm.
unlim reprint. It's the only set in like
Did we have
multiple
like did we
years.
And
have like an unlim print run for like 2019 tins or something? I know
I
we had a
think it was
reprint for like
2019
one of
tins, yeah. I believe it was
yeah,
2019
okay.
tins had an unlim run.
Okay.
And then that
so
like
what
yeah.
do we think the chances of them doing an unlimited set of, this one, not Rarity Collection,
Oh,
but
Agov?
AGOV, yeah.
Ugh. I mean, it's not
Mm.
zero. They've proven themselves capable
So
with Power of the
the
Elements,
the
but
weird part would be this is a it was end of year paraffin
yeah, Power of the Elements was
what's it
one
those
slot
tins, right?
before
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the
So
yearly
I'm trying to work out
schedule
like is this like close enough to
to like holiday
like
season to
this is
do an
the
unlim
last set
printing.
that will be in 2024 tins essentially. Like,
This
is
will.
this reasonable enough? Like, because I guess like Power of the Elements filled the same sort of void, but at the same time, I guess you had Power of the Elements during Euro season.
Was August.
Which, yeah, but like so like because you're like all the European well, like the only two European run WCQs were Oceanics and Euros, and those were held like in this weird pocket post Power of the Elements,
Yeah.
whereas like North America didn't have Power of the Elements. So like I'm not
Hmm.
sure if that might play into like how Power of the Elements was approached. Actually, that's something to really
I
consider.
highly doubt it. I'll be honest with you. If I had to
Oh no,
guess,
like I
scheduling of all
doubt it
these
as well. But
events
now that
was
I think
just
about it,
like
there is a
COVID was
chance.
weird. I don't like. I'm sure it was
Okay.
just really difficult to schedule events during like because it was like right when stuff was like kind of reopening during the pandemic, and like no one was quite sure how it all would all work, and we'd only had like one or two events prior. And if I
I
honestly had to
mean,
guess, I just
there
think it
were
was
other
probably a chaotic time
factors.
for
I'm
them.
not gonna lie.
But
There were other factors, but
yeah,
it's
like
okay.
I'm sure,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
I'm sure there was a lot
Well,
going
no.
on.
So like, I think while it is like not unlikely that we see like an unlim reprint of like an in demand set.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. I feel like maybe Power of the Elements was like it's just a special sort of case, right? Like it was like that tail end of COVID. It was shoehorned into like like the first Euros in 2 or 3 years, right? Like 2 years. And it was just like one of these like big sort of things where like maybe Power of the Elements met demand early on, but like they didn't think it met demand because organized play was coming back, and that's why I got an unlim print.
yeah.
Like, is
Have they
that
done a reissue of like the classic sets that they released this year? Like, have they done a reissue
no?
of LOB or no,
I
or
I
just it
don't
was just
believe
gone?
so.
I don't think
Well,
I've heard of that happening, but I don't know if
so what I understand is these were made to order, like
yeah,
they just print versus
yep,
demand, right? And like apparently that's every set, but like these were very like
very much,
distinctly,
yeah, sure,
hey,
sure.
like yes, here's this set, you know what it is, like
Yeah,
if you want it,
you
good.
know who Blue Eyes is. You know him.
Yeah, quite literally, right?
You're
so
from you
so
know
I I
you know
think
him. Let's
I think it's more likely that you see a reissue not on the sealed boxes themselves,
oh, but on the
but
Legendary
on the
Collection.
yeah, on the
We've
legendary
seen because
collection because
that's a good point. Because Legendary Collection, every Legendary Collection, to the best of my knowledge, has
Mhm.
received an unlimited printing.
It
Maybe
has.
5Ds didn't.
Except for Joey's, yeah, I think the
Yeah,
Joey's were
maybe like
right,
Joey's,
yeah.
maybe but I know that both Legendary Collection 1 and 2 originally issued with a binder, and they were both
Mhm.
reissued as the
Yes,
Game
Game
Board
Board
edition.
edition.
Yeah. And then now the Legendary Collection Quarter Century version that we have now is a reissue of the
Yep,
reissue
yep.
with a Quarter Century promo. Like it's very funny. So yeah, I could definitely see them doing like Wave 2, like extremely unlimited Legendary Collection, like Quarter Century edition. I could see that happening, but yeah, I as of now, like the Rarity collection has some other oddities where like it's like more expensive in Europe or something. I don't want to get too like too deep into the weeds of it, but it's like
Mm.
just now, right before we started recording, the first content creators posted the opening videos, and
Mhm.
the cards look sort of like the OCG card stock, and like maybe there's something there. Like I haven't felt the cards. I don't have them in my hand, so I don't know yet, but it's like maybe we won't see a reissue of this set no matter how well it does, because maybe it's looks like it is printed. So on the one hand, the printing of these new rarities is like they had to go so far out of their way to print these cards and new rarities for the TCG, like in English. Would they just never utilize that technology ever again? Probably not. I feel like they would utilize it again. Is an unlim
Mm.
print of this set the best way to utilize that technology? Also, maybe probably not. Like maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll just see these rarities pop up in different things, and like, are we going to see Pharaoh's Rare pop up and stuff ever again? Was that just a one and done deal where they developed this stuff to make Pharaoh's Rares and they put them in King's Court and Mavens and nothing else? Like I don't know.
Like potentially, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as the set list goes for Rarity Collection, we've talked about this a little bit. And on the one hand, something we've talked about a lot is it's really bizarre when they reprint cards that have already had high rarity printings in high rarities again. It's even more bizarre when they reprint them in the same rarities again. And a couple of
Yeah.
these cards, I will say, for the most part, I think this set is fine. I think it was a good idea. I'm glad they made it. Like, all in all, if I had to give a sum of my reactions, I'm glad they made this set. However, there are a couple things. It's really only just a couple of cards that, like, as you mentioned, like, they didn't change anything from the OCG set. There were a couple of cards I wish they changed from the OCG set. And the only cards I really, really, really wish they changed were just the cards that we got collector's rare this year. And for once, I can speak from a slightly different perspective. Usually, in a situation like this, when, let's say like they put Ecclesia as an ultimate in an OTS pack, and I go, well, that's a bummer because I was looking forward to new cards in Ultimate, and I already have a Starlight Ecclesia, so I don't want to get this. And like, it just, for me, who wants the high rarity cards, it like, I was like, man, that's kind of a bummer. Like, I was hoping for like a card I wanted to be an ultimate rare, whatever. And this is just like redundant. I do not own a collector's rare Baron. I do not own a collector's rare Avermax. I do not own a collector's rare Fossil Dig. And I legitimately feel bad for people that went out and bought collector's rare Baron, bought collector's rare Avermax, and bought collector's rare Fossil Dig from the sets this year.
Yes,
that feels
quite
bad.
literally.
Those, I think, are the only cards in this set that I really, really sort of take issue with. Everything else, I think, is like, even the ones I own, like, I own a Starlight, like, I own Starlight Bell, and I see Bell in this product, and I'm like, Bell is an iconic tournament staple card. Maybe not as iconic as other stuff, but like, I think that is a card that deserves to be in this, like Effect Veiler. Like, Effect Veiler is an iconic Yu-Gi-Oh card from the competitive scene. It's been very relevant for very long. It deserves to be in a celebration of the 25, 25 years of Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, I agree. Right.
But Ryan, I would like, I sent an image in the Discord.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to go through very quickly, left to right on each line, just each card that already has one of these premium printings.
Yeah, I know.
Alpha, the Master of Beasts, has a Starlight Rare.
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
It does,
sure.
yes.
And as we keep scrolling here, we have Ecclesia, which has a Starlight Rare and has an
Danger
ultimate rare.
Jackalope. Danger Jackalope should have one, doesn't it? Or is it just Danger Nessie?
That's just Nessie has a
okay,
quarter century.
But...
No,
Effect Veiler is an easy one.
Effect Veiler has ultimate and it has Starlight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fallen of Albaz has an ultimate.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Ghost Bell, which you mentioned. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have
Nibiru.
Ignore the one card right there. Nibiru. Yes, the Maxi that is in the screenshot for no reason. Nibiru. Yep, that's another one. Then we have the Iris Sword Soul.
Has a Starlight.
Insane. Tour Guide. Ultimate.
Nope. Spear Mode has a Ghost Rare.
Wing Dragon or Ra.
Sure.
Yeah, Spear Mode has a Ghost Rare.
Yeah, Wing Dragon
or not Wing. Yeah, Spear Mode.
Yeah. And then we have the Channeler as well, right? The Charmer.
You've definitely missed some. So we've got never mind. Yes, the Channeler does have a Starlight. Yes, from Eternity.
Yes.
You are correct. Ben 10 has a Lost Start Boat, and that no, it does not count. Stop.
Anyway,
no, that does not count.
Space Collector Rare, right?
Change of Heart has a Pharaoh's Rare.
I don't think I can count something like that.
All right.
Pharaoh's Rare is basically just spiced up Collector's Rare.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Okay. Chaos Space has a Collector's Rare. Yes. Droplet has an ultimate rare. Yep.
Lightning Storm.
No, Fossil Dig got a collector's rare, as I mentioned.
It did? Wait,
that's what I said.
I don't remember.
In Wild Survivors, Fossil Dig got a collector's rare.
That's disgusting.
That's what I said. That's about it. I just said. I'm glad you agree with me. But I did just say. I literally just said that.
I'm so sorry. I must have zoned out. I heard Fossil Dig and I was like, oh, my head.
Lightning Storm is too. It has collector's rare and Starlight.
And Pharaoh's Rare, I think. It might also have Pharaoh's Rare.
Okay. All right, Pot of Desires, Ulti, Collector Rare.
Yep.
Pot of Extravagance,
Collector's Rare.
Just Collector's Rare.
Just Collector's Rare. Yeah.
Prosperity.
And what I will say is Pot of Extravagance has the Toon Chaos Collector's Rare, which doesn't look very good because they hadn't figured out the collector's rare yet. So this was whatever. They
also have the pot collection as well, which I
forgot they have the pot collection. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's all quarter century. Right?
No, it's not. It's different. It's its own unique rarity. It's its own unique rarity. I know. Isn't that insane?
I'll have to consult William. Reasoning. Funny. Rhoda. That's the blatant one. Tactics. Another one. Did Compulse get a bump?
Compulse has a tournament pack super, which is not the same.
Oh no, I wasn't sure if it got a collector rec.
But it is a premium printing.
No,
it does. It doesn't. No, it did not. It did not.
Okay, sure. Uh,
Imperm is the next card.
Imperm, yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
Imperm has an ultimate. Yeah, shockingly,
Devious.
this is Evenly's first like premium printing.
Yeah, no. So,
Shockingly.
some of these I think were like very, very like good
Yeah.
because there's a lot of cards in here that don't have like the luxury printing, right? These are a
Yes.
lot of like
Yes.
generic-ish cards that like maybe needed a reprint, maybe didn't. I don't know, but
Yeah.
now they have rarity bombs, which I think
Uh-huh.
is cool. You have your Dingiasu in this nice
Ultimate.
little column here.
Yeah.
Then we have Artemis collector rare,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Unicorn collector rare criminal.
Yeah,
Could have just not put. You could have just not put that artwork of
yeah,
Unicorn in.
you could have just put the alt art. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
And then we have
Avermax.
Avermax collector rare.
Yep.
Yeah. Dark Law ultimate rare.
Mm-hmm.
Ancient Fairy Dragon.
Ghost
Can't
rare
even
and
begin.
ultimate rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have obviously Baron, Savage.
Yep. Yep. Savage
Yeah.
got a Starlight not too long ago, and then
and then Flare Metal, but I don't think
yeah,
that one
I don't
might
really
be
count that
right
one.
now.
Yeah, but Flare Metal technically, 8 years ago has an ultimate and a ghost from the pack it came from. So I don't quite count that, but like sort of.
So I don't think there are a lot of cards in here that already have this sort of like luxury print overlap, right? Like there's a
I
lot,
agree.
but it's less than I could have anticipated.
Yes, I agree with you. It is a
Yeah.
lot of cards, but it's far fewer than it could have been, and I think enough of them, the rarities are unique enough. Like for something like Nib and Imperm, I actually think it's fine because the OTS Ultimate is so different from the rarities in this pack.
I feel like an OTS Ultimate is unique enough.
Yes.
Like it's not meant to be like a card that you can access like as easily, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't go to like the local Target and buy some packs and pull them.
Yeah.
Right. What like compared to like when they reprint a card that like comes in a core set or like a side set or something in the same rarity, then I feel kind of violated. Like that's not okay.
Only as I said, the only 3 cards I really take like offense to in this product are Baron, Avermax, and Fossil Dig because they literally
Fossil Dig especially. I feel like Fossil Dig is crazy.
Fossil Dig is
that's
great.
criminal.
That's crazy.
I'm offended by that.
No, that's
one.
what
like. I'm
as I
actually
said, I do not own Fossil Dig Collector's Rare. I am definitely not speaking from a place of like I can't believe they reprinted my Fossil Dig. I'm just looking at this and it's just like Fossil Dig Collector's Rare 3 months ago, like before we knew what was in this set, I guess, was like $60, and now it's like $40. And I feel like when this pack comes out, it'll
like
be even lower.
5 in a minute.
Yeah,
Like,
because I feel like also these are like the OCG versions of Collector's Rare. And again, I haven't held these in my hands yet, but a bunch of people were talking about how these will just look better, which is that's the disgusting part. I think like that's the only thing is just like you can have the Wild Survivals Collector's Rare Fossil Dig, or you can have this Fossil Dig that just looks better. that will be $8, please, thank you. And it's like
let's depreciate the set even more.
Yeah, that's the one.
Just looking at there's some really obscure ones here that I can't make too much sense.
Like
on.
what?
The Blackwing, the Blue Eyes, the Danger Jackalope.
Yeah, those are kind of weird.
The Fairy Tale Luna, the Galaxy Eyes, like there's just very like weird rarity bumps.
I think the only one in this pack that I think is actually weird, like weird, is Ice Barrier. I think that's the only weird card in this pack. Everything else I can like sort of see like and I think ironically enough, Inspector Border I think is weird. I don't.
So I think there's actually a couple. I think the Blackwing guy is super weird.
Yeah.
I also think that the one Charmer is super.
Oh, the
weird.
one Charmer is a little weird. That is a little weird. Yeah,
I
having
also
the
think
one.
Vision Hero Faris, but not the other one, is also just.
Oh no! Oh my god! No, sorry. This reminded me. This is just I'm just watching just like my entire finance, just watching all my assets crumble. I'm just remembering that oh my. Hold on. Sorry. I need to make sure that I'm not ruined.
Like
my Ghost from the Past Oh no. Ghost from the Past Ferris is like $2, and I definitely, had I realized it was in this set, I would. It's gonna be a quarter in 2 days, and will never financially recover
Oh
from
my
this.
god.
However,
You're
on
in
the bright
shambles.
side,
Your entire net
I
worth is
know
in Vision
my
Hero Fair.
entire net worth of like $80 of Vision Hero Fair, I will never
Yes.
recover it. That's
Oh
almost an
god.
SP Little Knight.
That is
Like,
not quite, but
yeah,
maybe.
not quite. The only silver lining is maybe because they reprinted Ferris, but not Increase or Vion. It means Increase and Vion will go up from Ghosts from the Past, and maybe from the ashes of my empire of Ferris, I can rebuild with an empire of Increase. Okay.
Okay, so do you know what I would like? Obviously, this was taken from Japan. We can't really like
Yeah.
we can fault it, but like you can't really like fault it any further because it's like any changes we would make, I would just start from scratch. I feel
Mhm.
like you can definitely do a lot better with all of this, and I think there is pack filler in a set that does not need pack
Of
filler.
course,
Does
yes.
that make
I
sense?
agree.
When everything is the same rarity, I think you could just as easily put in other cards that needed the necessary like rarity bump, or maybe like a bump down, make them a little bit easier
Yeah.
to access, right? Like that's the biggest thing. Um, I'm gonna just rattle some off the top of my head. Just let me double check real quick and not do some reaching. Maybe if they put SP Little Knight in here, everyone would stop complaining. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Because everything, like, if you're putting in like a copy of Vision Hero Faris, or like these really weird reprints that seem like they've been reprinted in every set, like, can we acknowledge that one real quick as well? Like, I feel like I've seen like a Vision Hero Faris, a Galaxy Eyes Guy, a Blue Eyes Abyss, a Blackwing Todd in at least one of the sets in the last like 2 years ish, right? Whether it be like Ghost from the Past 2, Mama, maybe one of these other weird like subsets. I feel like I've seen one of these cards, and I don't know what Konami's infatuation with them is.
What do you mean? Like they're just hero
Well, like
hero cards. I don't know.
no, like it's specifically Faris, the Galaxy Eyes, and then the Blue Eyes Abyss. Like those have just been included in the last like 2 years in
Uh,
some side set,
yeah. Give me a
and
second.
because I feel like those were just in other OCG reprint sets that they used as inspiration for a lot of the other like
It was also
reprints.
Abyss Dragon was also in Mama. Yeah, you're right. I didn't know
Yeah,
that. I didn't know that was in Mama. Give me a
I'm
second. Let me
pretty
do a
sure
little bit of.
something
I'm gonna do a little bit of
intricacies
research into
something.
this
I don't.
while I've got you all here. I'm
Yeah,
just gonna
I lost
see
my
what the
tangent. I was like,
original.
damn, I'm gonna rattle off some cards that should have been in this set but
What
weren't.
was
And it's like,
the
oh well,
original?
never mind. I've forgotten all of them.
Yeah, no, I got you. I
Or
got
okay,
you.
okay. I genuinely think terraforming would have been fine to put in this.
Um, again,
Even though it has
it
the
already has
25th.
ultimate, and it just got quarter
No, no, no,
century in
no, no,
Battles of Legend.
no. But
But
that's why
I
I think it would have been fine to
what
put in
it already
this.
has quarter century, like specifically
Yeah,
a
yeah,
quarter century
just
card. That's
put it
why
in
I
here.
think they
Just
wouldn't
be
do it
done.
again.
Just be done with it. Yeah, just
Right.
throw it in.
I mean, yes,
Okay.
I would remove it from Battles of Legend and put it in this set. I wouldn't put it in both.
Yeah.
If that's
I'd
what
rather
you're
not
going
be put
for.
in here and rather it just be banned, but that
Well,
is me.
that
I mean
also
that
also true. Um, so in Japan, Blue Eyes Abyss Dragon came out of the legendary gold box, which is some weird box set that we never got. And
uh-huh.
what else was introduced in this? Oh, there's a lot. What other? Let's see. Ah, that was the set that introduced Dragoon. I didn't know
Oh,
that. Huh, interesting. And Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon. Wow, we could have gotten Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon in this and Afterglow Dragon. Now I feel cheated that Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon wasn't in this set. Honestly. Huh. Anyways, Decode was also in the Legendary Gold box. Decode Tucker Heat Soul was also Legendary Gold box. Interesting. I feel
oh.
like I feel like those are just cards. Maybe the Legendary Gold box is just a set that in Japan they didn't have very many like reprints for. Maybe I don't know. If
So
I had
yeah,
to
no,
guess,
that would make sense. I think
yeah.
that is like a it's one of those like obscure boxes that like after
Oh,
it's gone sort of
also,
deal.
also, the Legendary Gold box was a 20th anniversary product. So these cards
Hmm.
come in 20th secret rare, and then they put them in the Rarity Collection quarter century edition, and
Oh,
now they can also come 25th. That makes sense now.
okay.
That makes sense.
That sounds
I think
stupid for our market
for
specifically.
our market, that's stupid. But I understand. Yes, but
I
I understand
yes.
why. I understand
I
why
can
some of these
appreciate
made
that
it.
in Japan. I think that is very funny, and
Yeah,
I think it's cute.
yeah.
However,
So Heat
we
Soul
are
in
not Japan.
Japan, Heat Soul in Japan has a 20th secret rare and a quarter century secret rare, and that's hilarious.
I can't wait
That-
for the 30th anniversary
yeah, or
secret
Decode Talker
rare.
Heat Soul,
Yeah,
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 makes his
Yep.
appearance. That is funny.
yeah.
Okay, so at least that's a mystery of like Abyss Dragon, Afterglow Dragon, Heat Soul. I'm kind of surprised they did that and didn't put all of them in. Granted, Dragoon is banned, I understand that, but the other cards are um, DDD Vice King Requiem. That would have been
Oh,
so funny if that was in this set after it just became like playable. That would have been hilarious.
yeah.
Um, the Odd Eyes Rebel. Basically, all the Ghosts from the Past two. So all of these cards that got introduced in Ghosts from the Past two, like
Uh-huh.
Crystal Beast, Rainbow Dragon, Red Eyes, Odd Eyes Rebellion, Overlord Dragon, Deco Tucker, Heat Soul, Borderland Dragon, DDD Vice King Requiem. All of these came from this weird 20th anniversary gold box that came out in
Mhm.
2019 in Japan that we just didn't get for a million years for no reason. But yeah, that would have been funny if all of these were in the Rarity collection. That would have been kind of funny, but they were not. Anyways, mystery solved. If I had to,
Hooray.
if yeah. I don't know. I
uh,
think I think this like this is I'm happy the set exists on one hand, but on the other hand, and again, it sucks that some cards that are already high rarity are getting printed. And I will say for like the fourth time, the only cards I actually have a problem with are Baron, Avermax, and Fossil Dig. And that's not even
sure.
the fault of this set. I think it's the fault of the sets that came before it, honestly. I feel like
Is it? No, because I feel like if you at least have some foresight when constructing, like, if this was constructed and you said, like, if it's Billy and Jerome and they're just like, we should put these cards in, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, like, hyperbole that it's not Billy and Jerome, but just, someone in Konami is sitting down and saying this, and this. And it's like that meme of the three people in the office, and it's like, all right, rarity collection. What do we do? Let's put Baron as a collector rare. And then the dude in the back is just like, but we reprinted it already as a collector rare, and then they throw him out the window. That sort of vibe. If that happened, I would laugh a little bit more. Instead, it's like them copying a Japan thing with no like it's like very out of touch with like the just general consumer, right? Like that's the biggest issue is that they're willing to just like copy the set list from Japan, ignoring that they've already reprinted these cards in these specific rarities in the last year. That's like when it's kind of alarming because I think it's very easy to sit down and be like, why would we reprint this in this rarity again? Like we could just
well,
not do that.
unfortunately, I'll also say we've seen this happen with every
Yeah.
card ever anyway. So like and
I
again,
still
this
feel like
goes back
OTS
to
might be unique enough where they can get away with it, but I guess
this
collector rare into Starlight rare
I mean,
potentially
they've done that already.
probably.
Also,
Yeah,
they just keep doing it.
yeah.
And okay, and again, this is maybe we spent an hour and a half talking about. Maybe we spent an hour and a half defending their decisions in the last year. Now we got to spend 10 minutes complaining about
Hmm.
something. Or like, I think the only thing recently, other than again Baron Avermax and Fossil Dig, the only other thing recently that I've just read and I've just been like devastated is when they announced they're reprinting the Astral Language Utopia in the Battles of Legend collection. And I
That
just
was that
go,
was quite
Uh,
depressing. Yeah.
why?
yeah.
Like, why? Like, who does this, like, who, like, who? Like, who does this help? It is so, that is the craziest one. And then we immediately saw the card go from, $280 to 140, like literally lost half of its value, instantly. Like you can see the price chart of it from the past year, and it's just a downward, like literal downward slope, and it's just so funny. Not like haha funny, but like upset funny. I don't know. It's a little upsetting, but yeah, it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, I again, overall, I think this will be fine. And I think it will show people, I guess, how about this? We've had this discussion about people complaining about cards are too much, complaining about cards are, product is not worth yada, 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 yada. I don't want to hear a single one of you complain about Super Rare Baron being 50 cents. If a single person who's been complaining about the price of all these cards, has been complaining about the price of SP, if a single one of you go on Twitter and complain, my opponent summoned a Super Rare Baron against me, they didn't own one last week, this is so dumb. No.
Oh,
I will not allow it.
The most disgusting looking cards from this set, and no one can stop me. Like, I am going to pick the ugliest ones on purpose to make people upset. You know why? Because cosmetics in Yu-Gi-Oh! Don't matter. The functionality is the same. And you know what? If we're gonna complain about Little Knight, then you can't complain about anything else.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then someone's gonna be like, "No, we can complain about whatever we want." You know what? I'm gonna complain about it. Great.
Yes. If I hear anybody complain about the uptick in play of cards that used to be expensive, like I think we didn't talk about this. This is a thing I haven't seen this complained about in a long time, but like this is something that I used to be able to complain about maybe like 8 years ago, is when a card was expensive and then it got a reprint, people would complain they lost to it. If their opponent played like a reprint version of a card, they would be like,
yeah,
I lost to X, but it was a reprint. Like, I can't believe they made it $5 so my opponent could afford it and beat me with it. And I'm sitting here
to
like,
be fair,
that is ridiculous.
That was genuinely a thing. I remember that being a thing.
No,
like,
that was
I wonder if we're thinking
promos.
the same thing, because I know the exact card
Pin
that I
promos
heard
did
about it
that
first.
every time.
Yeah, Jinzo? Tinzo.
No.
Do you remember?
The very first time I remember this, yeah, Tinzo, I do remember. But
Tinzo
is
an iconic one.
I think a big offender of this was like Crush Card Virus.
Yeah.
Yes. That was probably the first one where Crush Card.
The thing is, even then, I feel like it was still so expensive.
It was still $300
Yes.
for the reprint. Yes, I remember.
For the gold. But I remember when people complained then they lost to the next one after the gold.
You mean so? Because that was just a rare. I swear.
Well, yeah,
I swear,
you're like, I lost to a rare
sure,
Crush card.
I'm pretty sure the rare came out like literally maybe a week or 2 weeks before it got banned. So the gap was so thin.
That was in what, like Retro Pack? It was rare or something. It was some weird
Nah,
Dark Legend.
It was in a
Dark
tournament.
Legends.
It was in Turbo Pack 1.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Turbo Pack 1. And
yeah,
then
you're
after
right.
That
I forgot it was a Turbo Pack.
Kaiba is the ultra rare. Yeah, so an ultra rare, gold rare.
Yeah, that is funny. And obviously, Crush Card's a different beast. In that card was several thousands of dollars. But like, yes. If any of you who complains about cards being too expensive, then proceeds to complain that your opponent summoned a reprint Baron against you, and that's the only reason that you lost. Just, oh God, I don't know. I'm really afraid that it's gonna happen.
I don't think they will. I think that people who
you think that
don't like expensive Yu-Gi-Oh will
people
be
still
happy with this.
They make that joke with like, oh yeah, like if you activate common Ash Blossom, then you can't negate this. You know what I mean? Like they make that sort of joke, like, tongue in cheek. And some people genuinely believe like there's the superiority when they have a higher rarity version of a card versus someone playing like the
those
poverty
people
version.
should be
those
stoned
people
to
are
death.
irrelevant. Yeah, these people should not share the same, but
okay.
I agree. But yeah, like it happens. Like even if it's a joke, like there's definitely some underlying stuff. There's a lot of like pretentiousness when it comes to these new rarity things, and I'm glad there's a super rare Baron. You know why? Because ultra rare Baron, I didn't play enough to justify having $100. Well, like it was $100 here, but you know what I mean. Like, I did not play that card in my decks enough to justify earning it. But every time I did not have one, a new deck would come out and I would have to play it, and I was so sick every single time. Now I don't have to worry, because it was just like, here's $100 Baron. I will play tier for the rest of the year, and there is no Baron in my extra deck. And then it's like, you need Baron for your crappy Cashier deck that plays 6 level 3 tuna hand traps.
Yes.
Oh God, every time.
Yep. All right. Well, now you can get a collector's rare again.
I didn't have a collector's rare to begin with.
Yeah. All right. We covered a lot, but I think we covered a lot, but it was actually like two topics. So I'm
Yes.
probably not even gonna make timestamps on this one because I think it would be literally one timestamp. I think it would be
Yeah.
the first 5 minutes. Maybe I'll do it just because it's funny. I'll do like it'll be like AGOV. It'll be like 3 minutes, and then it will just be an hour and 55 minutes of complaining about people on Twitter and the Rarity collection. But yeah, so I think we've uh
So
covered
just quickly though,
yeah.
just really quickly. So
Hmm.
I sent some photos of the like the cards in our chat, right? Like
Yeah.
the one with like all like Asala, Jesse, and company.
Yeah.
And the general consensus from like that small pocket of people is, damn, these ultis look so bad that like I wouldn't be surprised if the OTS stuff goes up.
I was gonna say
Does that
like
yeah,
I
like
also think one thing I also think is that a bunch of these pictures of the ultimate rares
I
do
think they might
not
not do them
I
justice.
think they do not do
yeah,
them
that's
justice.
because like I'm looking at this Dingirsu and I just think the artwork itself could actually just be absurd.
Because when
Like if
Yeah.
I've
if I
opened
had
up
this in my
Japanese
hand,
ultimate rares out of a
mhm,
pack, I thought, wow, this looks really cool. But in
Yeah.
these photos, they don't
They look
look that
so
great.
weird.
But
Like this
uh,
like this like red eyes metal looks it looks fake from this photo almost. Like it looks
I
so
think it's
weird.
it's the glare like hitting
Yeah.
it and it just weirds me out.
Yeah.
Like
It's the
because
glare and the
it's making that
gloss.
textured effect look a little less uh like because I'm sure it's more intricate than what it is, but it looks more like a counterfeit card
Yeah, that's what
when you
yeah.
when you look at it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe in person again, like I will delay my judgment on these until I'm holding them in person and I can say I like the way this looks, I don't like the way this looks, whatever, whatever, right? Like
Hmm.
I think it's really easy to look at like a blurry photo from a weird angle with a ton of glare and be like, that looks bad. Well, yes, like that photo does look bad, but I'm hoping that it will look a bit more respectable in person, but we'll see. Yeah. All
No,
right.
I
I
agree.
think I think that covers everything until we actually have the cards in our hands that we can possibly cover. So
so other
um
than that,
So
I
to sum
think
up, to anyone who skipped to the end, yes, Jeff does not like poor people. That's we yeah we
they don't.
like
I feel like there will still get comments
yeah yeah I
saying
know
that that is what
I
I
know
think. But
I know
I mean, thank
yeah
you for listening. I hope that we explained the situation more thoroughly than just a simple Twitter post.
yes
Um, at the end of the day, do I still think Yu-Gi-Oh is a luxury? Yeah, absolutely. Yu-Gi-Oh is a luxury. Owning cards is a luxury. Do I think that Konami can do better for alleviating prices and making product uh, better in general? Yeah, they absolutely can too. Um, again, in the very beginning, I said the theme of this episode is everyone wants to think it's very black and white. It's not. Like most things in life, they're not black and white. It is somewhere in the middle. So, thank you for listening.
yep
Yeah.